Welcome to the Medium Rare Podcast, where the thoughts are half cooked and the conversation's well done. I'm your host, Brett Owens, and I'm here today with Alex D. Toronto.
Hello.
Sahil
What's good with it?
Okay.
and Tucker Moss.
Yep. I think that's fifth episode. So that's my fifth. I don't think I'm gonna do it anymore.
We
But
got enough?
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, man.
Maybe at 6 we could cap it.
All right, so for this episode, like I said last week, we're going to do, for the whole month of October, all of our notes are going to be, or all of our subjects are going to be based off of like horror and Halloween.
Scary stuff.
Spooky.
So this week we wanted to start it off right. We're going to do some creepy pastas we're going to get into later, and some folklore.
Yes.
So we're going to just replace the news segment this week with the folklore segment. So with Fallout 76 coming up. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's go back to stories this week before I get into that.
Yeah. Okay.
I forgot to touch on that.
Yeah, I know you have a good one.
My so my job is a joke for anyone who doesn't
Okay.
know.
Shout out.
So
Shout out the place you work.
I went to there's this guy that's in the bathroom almost every single time I go into the bathroom to take a old deuce, so midday deuce.
Nice.
He is always, and one of my biggest pet peeves is when somebody is playing something on their phone loud as shit in public without headphones in or anything.
But while they're in the stall,
Yes.
Was he
I
playing,
do-
like,
I
Flappy
do-
Bird?
Stall. I had headphones in. What'd you say?
Was he playing like Flappy Bird? Like,
No, I'm about to. No. I had headphones in,
oh god,
and I could still hear. He was like watching a basketball game or some shit next to me. I had my headphones in. I could hear it.
you had headphones on while you were taking a shit.
Yes, so that I don't bother other people when I'm watching stuff on my phone because I'm considerate.
I always play music when I'm
Yeah,
in the toilet.
yeah.
I play it low, but not loud. But I
No
couldn't.
music.
I'd have to know what I'm doing.
I
don't want to be loud for someone else.
I hate when people do that. So anyway, this is the third time this man did it this week, and I was like, you know what? What can I do to bother this person as much as he's bothering me? So,
Pete on his foot.
no, listen, this really just like give him dirty toilet paper. From
Here you
under-
go, bud.
No, I went and grabbed. My buddy had a Bluetooth speaker outside in the
bless.
where
oh
we were.
no! Oh no!
So I got up, I went out, I grabbed his speaker because he wasn't using it at the time. I hooked my phone up to it, went back into the bathroom and sat it on the sink and played a documentary on tarantulas. Super loud. Just because I'm that petty.
Sweet revenge,
Dude, that guy, I hope that he never does that again.
Did he just shit louder?
It wasn't the shit that was the problem. It was him playing or watching a basketball game.
Not
No.
playing.
He just
what, Flappy
compensated
Bird?
for that. He's like, I know how to get loud. He just like,
you know
starts
what?
moaning.
We're gonna do that, and then
Starts
he's just like,
moaning.
"Ah!" Just lets it all go. Anybody got any stories for this week?
Yeah, my grandparents are in town in the country, really, and there's a huge language barrier between me and them because they speak Hindi and I speak Hindi, so I know exactly what they're saying, but they're not the best English speakers.
But so you don't speak Hindi to them?
I do,
Okay.
but they don't know how to speak English fluently. Like they can pick up bits and pieces, but not
So you
like,
can say whatever you want to in front of them, and they won't know.
yes. So
That's what I loved about Argentina.
At home, I'm real comfortable. Like I walk around pretty much naked. My whole family has seen me.
I don't know
naked.
about that.
Unit and
Bro,
everything.
This ain't it, Chief.
Hey, man,
No.
this ain't it,
So
bro.
we're family
This
then.
ain't
yeah,
it.
I mean, I just walk around in my boxers. Just that's
Oh,
just how it
okay.
is.
I
Yeah,
thought you
yeah.
meant like bare
No,
ass
not,
naked.
not wang out all the time, but like
Not all the
Boxers
time.
just freak me out because that little
Slit.
T slit.
Yes.
I feel like my thing's just gonna like whoop,
Boxer
Pop
briefs.
out.
pop right out.
yeah, I
Hello,
wear briefs.
Granny.
Don't
Don't even
briefs,
realize it,
That's
just
what's
walking
up.
around.
And so
I'm a briefs guy myself.
Same.
a lot of times I'm just like bulling around at home, playing music, walking around, and I'm like screaming this at the top of my lungs. And this, I'll read you the lyrics. They're not terrible.
And they don't understand you.
Oh, not a word.
Okay.
So I'm like walking down the stairs and music blaring from my phone. I was like, I'll read it quote for quote. I'm not gonna sing it because I feel like that's gonna be
come
weird. I grabbed her ass, so she called me a perv. Opened up her leg, so I had to insert. And I get down the stairs and I see my grandma looking at me, And obviously she doesn't know a word I'm saying, and she's smiling and nodding her head.
Yes, you sing good.
Precious. Dude, I just want to say, as you were saying those lyrics,
Yeah.
and just a big old spit came
I
out
saw
of your
it too.
mouth.
I didn't
saw it
notice.
too.
He was
I'm
drooling.
sorry.
Also, I don't like to bash your clothes, and I really like that hoodie, by the way. But
you.
are you cold or are you hot, my man?
I don't know.
You got a short sleeve hoodie on.
I was like, it's not cold outside. Like this is what the people be
I
talking
guess
about.
you're right. You got a good point.
I was like, winter come, I'm dressing. You know what I'm saying?
You got anything, y'all?
Well, I'd say today it's a little bit more on the wholesome side. I guess not really funny, but
Okay.
I got to
Always.
hang out with a couple of friends from high school that I rarely get to see. We were really good friends whenever I was in high school, and then everyone kind of moves away and goes to college or whatever.
That's a feel.
So they
I
got
do like
to
that.
actually come into town this afternoon, so I got to hang out and go eat and stuff, and I got
Wholesome.
I got a little buzzed. So-
Tucker's a little under the
Yeah.
influence now.
But
if you couldn't tell.
no, it was just a good time. So that was the highlight.
We're just at a good time.
That was the highlight of the week, I guess. For me, nothing else happened.
Well, that's how I met Alex. I was like,
Oh man.
I was
Whoa.
off my rockers.
Let's get Alex to tell that story.
Okay. Well, I guess. Yeah.
We'll save your other story.
I'll save
for
my other
next
story.
week.
The first time I saw Sahil
Uh-oh.
was at
My birthday.
At a house.
was a house for Brett's birthday party, and I think Sahil was back down to like what 9%,
He was getting ready for a bodybuilding competition, so
Yeah.
his body fat was
7%, 8% body
It's
fat.
around like 7 or 6.
probably,
Yeah.
yeah, 6 or 5, I think.
Yeah, it was
About
real
Oh,
low.
6.
shoot,
It was
okay.
at least 6.
So shit hits you real fast at that point.
Yeah, and my boy
My man
was.
had one beer and he was lit.
I looked over at Sahil and he was going, just leaning, he was leaning all the way to one side. I also brought chips and salsa over for everyone, and
Just-
nobody touched him. Nobody touched him.
Sahil.
And then Sahil walks over and goes, and just grabs the bag and doesn't like rip him open like normally, like rips the whole bag in half.
It's like
and just
a plate.
Yes.
At that point.
Yes, it's just a plastic plate. And he's just like dipping, like it's not dips, like you get a little bit of salsa. He has like half the jar on one chip.
I was real hungry.
My man was like,
Dude, no joke. That whole birthday party, no matter where I went, Sahil was taller than everybody. So no matter where I go, I look over and Sahil's just like,
See, the problem
another dimension.
the problem with that night was like someone had made frozen margaritas and I have no
Daniel.
sense of moderation and they was tasting real good. So I was like,
dude, you drank like 4 just
no,
instantly.
I had like a blender's worth of margaritas.
And then it's just like when you eat an edible or something that doesn't hit you for a minute, and then you're like, oh.
No, that hit me all at once. Like, there was no time to
Your
play.
body sent that straight to your brain.
Yeah, my boy was sitting at a 45-degree angle that whole night.
Yeah.
You
Love
got
you, Sahil.
scoliosis?
All right. So now we're gonna jump into. What'd you say?
So you got scoliosis?
Just from that one night. All right. So now we're gonna jump into some folklore. So like I said, with Fallout 76 coming out, I wanted to look up some of the because they use some of the folklore with the radioactive creatures that you see.
Right.
So one that I thought was interesting was the Snallygaster. Snallygaster gets its name from I think it was German immigrants that moved over here early, whenever.
That's what they
whenever
called them?
immigrants came over.
That's what they called them?
Well, it's I don't know how to pronounce it, but it was interpreted into Snallygaster.
Okay.
So this creature, it was said to be half lizard, half bird, and it lived in the caves of the Blue Ridge Mountains. So this is like
that's local.
no, it was the West Virginia.
Oh,
Blue Ridge.
The
forgot
northern
Blue Ridge
part of the
runs
Blue
all the way
Ridge
up
Mountains.
Yeah. So it was known for snatching everything from chickens to children.
Same.
It's a
what it
very
It'd be
broad.
like that.
It's a very broad range of things to grab.
Chickens and children. That's it.
Similar sizes.
Most sightings of this monster have been found in the D.C. area and Maryland. So, like, people actually claim to have seen it, but it lived mostly in the mountains, and you'd only see it a lot of times at night.
It kind of sounds like a pterodactyl, honestly. That's what I imagine.
It eventually they changed like what it looks like to more of a Lovecraftian, which is kind of what it looks like in the game. It's like more of a Lovecraftian monster, so it's got like tentacles that are like on its mouth, and it's got like a giant beak, and it no longer has wings. It's just got like a tail and like one eye in the center of its head.
So gross.
Yes, super
Yes, gross.
super
Hey,
gross.
maybe it has a good
Yeah,
personality.
you're right. It probably has a
Um,
good.
But yeah, the
Art.
first guy who saw it, James Harding, he said it was a mix between a tiger and a vampire with a sharp beak. This was before the change of appearance. But it had a sharp beak, an eye directly in the middle of its forehead, and made a loud, shrill, shrieking noise. So I think he went out and he saw it like eating his livestock or something, and he shot a gun at it, and then it just like screamed and flew away.
That's horrifying.
What's up, Tucker?
No, so you say he looked like a vampire, right?
I don't understand where.
I don't know how do you get like it had like a cape or like
No.
it looked like you said it
Just
looked like
had a cape.
it looked like a vampire. Like
It
what
had
do you
a
mean?
haircut where he just had like a really low widow's peak.
But also looked like a
his
reptile.
Teeth out like.
yeah.
So this is supposedly like in the U.S.
Yeah, well, that's what Fallout 76 takes a lot of folklore from the West Virginia area because it's set in West Virginia. So that's why you got something to say about West Virginia?
There's just a lot of West Virginia memes going around.
yeah. No, but yeah. So this was mostly all in the West Virginia area. It was discovered, or later in the 19th century was when it got the tentacles in the mouth and changed appearance. And then some people would draw seven-sided stars to ward away like demons and evil spirits and evil creatures and stuff. So like in Fallout 76, they have a lot of buildings with like the seven pointed stars on like farms and stuff like that. But yeah, that was one of the things that they said that they had. And so yeah, that was really all I had for the Snallygaster. If you want to learn more about it though, I read this book called The Legend of, it's called Snallygaster, The Lost Legend of Frederick County. It's by Patrick Boyton.
Sounds like West Virginia.
Yeah.
Hey.
And then also YouTube, Widgeon TV. He talks about a lot of like the Fallout creatures. If you want to learn any more about Fallout creatures
Oh, that's
that are going to
interesting.
be on there, he has a backstory for all the lore.
When does Fallout 76 come out?
It's in
November. It's like the 14th or something like
okay.
that.
10th. I think.
10th. I
But
didn't
realize it was
that
that
and
soon.
Spyro come out on the same day, so I'm gonna be real busy.
I thought it got pushed back. Or was that when it got pushed back too?
Yeah, Spyro was supposed to come out this month.
Sad.
Yeah, very sad.
Rip.
All right, folklore from anybody else?
I did Bloody Mary.
Okay.
Okay.
You know,
Oh.
and like I think 5th grade me was
Classic,
just, like
dude.
sitting there. No, 6th grade. This was middle school. I was like, they were talking about it in the bathroom. I was like, what the hell are they talking about? They were like, if you say it a bunch of times, I was like, the lights are on, guys. I was like-
Turn the lights on.
They're like, no, go in
Make
the
it
stall.
spooky. Come
No,
on.
I mean this
Go
is
in the other stall.
yeah.
Hey, don't talk to us, please. You eat Cheez-Its and vinegar. Can you leave? Your breath is horrid.
Who eats it?
You said it on the show.
Nah, y'all lying. Y'all tweaking. Either way, like tale told, slumber parties, camp outs, just trying to scare people.
Yeah.
So,
Candyman also was.
yeah, no, I was going to talk about that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So the legend claims that this evil woman can be summoned if you say if you say Bloody Mary.
Don't say it.
No, anywhere from
like
3
Voldemort.
to 100 times in a row.
He who must not be
Shouldn't have
named.
said.
So
Sorry, we interrupted you. Say that again.
you got to say it 3 to
3
100
times in
times.
a row.
3
So-
to 100?
Yeah. Some
Who
people,
sat in the bathroom and said it 100 times?
someone who really wanted to get their eyes clawed
Oh,
out. Yeah.
legit.
Yeah.
They wanted to die.
They were-
Bathrooms happen to be the most popular setting to test out this legend.
Why is that?
Because there's no windows and you can get it really dark, and there's a mirror most likely.
Yes. Yeah.
Those are the three like
Does it
common
have
factors.
to can you only see her in the mirror? Are you gonna
Yeah,
do
I
that?
think that's sorry.
No, I mean, a lot of times, so based on this like folklore, she can pull you into the mirror too.
Ooh, you
Yeah,
I didn't know about that
That's
part.
one of the methods.
Oculus.
I have it down here. So one of the ways she gets you is that she'll curse you, depending on how many times you say it, strangle you, steal your soul, drink your blood, scratch your eyes out, and you're gonna die regardless. Or she'll like in other variations, she's just insane and she'll like pull you into the mirror.
Okay.
So
That
she'll
is-
curse you, and then
that's where you go into
after
a
she
par-
curses you, she kills you.
Yeah.
So there's no
Yeah.
even need for a curse. Like,
No,
why
like-
the
like-
effort?
I know you die anyway.
Why just kill me?
No,
Why
when they
curse
say
me?
curse
I was
you,
just thinking
like
that.
she's like literally cursing, like screaming at you.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what they.
It's like, Dag
that's what they
Nabbit,
mean.
you keep saying my name. Shut up. I'm trying to sleep.
Leave me alone.
Um,
Go into a parallel dimension in the mirror, though. That's wild.
and then you get killed.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Killed.
Yeah.
Forgot about that
You
part.
get to see the parallel dimension.
But it also depends on like what their interpretation of Bloody Mary is, or like you find out, I guess, if it's real.
Any reported sightings of the Bloody Mary?
No, they all dead. Cause
They can't report it if they're dead.
Yep, you're right. It's not like Bigfoot.
so like who she really? Oh yeah. And then aliens later on. Who she really is kind of a mystery. A lot of people say that she's Queen Mary the First of England, who had several like miscarriages, and wasn't very
That's the one I've heard.
and we saw some rising in popularity in 1992 with the movie Candyman, and they changed it to Candyman, and he said in the mirror 5 times, and he would
Yeah.
reappear and murder them with his hook hand.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Candyman, that was... Didn't Jordan Peele just got...
I think he's gonna make one. He's
Yeah.
gonna make a remake or
Yeah.
another sequel or something.
Yeah, that's dope.
Fan of his work.
I will say one thing too. I never really picture like Bloody Mary as like Queen. Like what would you say, Queen Mary the
I
First
just
or
thought it
whatever?
was like the girl
You know
from
who
the-
I usually think of The Exorcist. I don't know why.
Yeah.
either-
I think of like the
her-
person from The Exorcist as being
I
like
always
Bloody
thought it was
Mary.
like the girl from The Grudge or...
And that's,
Yeah,
that's like
yeah,
a societal
yeah, yeah.
thing for sure.
Or, The Ring.
Like the
That's what
way-
I was thinking. The Ring.
Mhm. And the modern edition, just it's more about her baby, because Queen Mary the First had like several miscarriages. So a lot of people like see if you curse her baby, she'll come get you.
If you curse...
her
baby.
babies.
Oh, like that...
Like
The-
if you
the
talk about
miscarried
if you
baby.
like talk
back
about her
then?
baby.
Is that what you're saying?
No, like she did back then.
Oh,
but if
I
you talk
see.
about it now,
Oh, so like what we're doing right now.
yeah.
Okay,
So if I
Rip.
go
We
and
got
pee in
plenty
that
of mirrors.
bathroom, she might pull me out of there.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
The last episode we'll ever have.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Rip.
Y'all would go on. I would want you guys to go on.
Can we just say like Sahil?
That shit don't work. That shit don't work.
Just a cloud comes pumping out of
Spells
nowhere.
out Sahil.
No, it says no cap. Just says no cap.
I
and
smell you.
smoke.
Yeah.
Smell you later.
On God.
Say less. I did learn that one. I know.
You
Say less.
Sahil a bunch and it just says say less.
Say
Say
less.
less.
Say
I
less.
got you, cuz. Like,
Pulls you into the vape.
Hey, check this out. Anyway, go ahead, Tucker.
You want me to go? Or you want to go?
I'll go.
You wanna
go? You can
Yeah,
go.
I got a
I
pretty
mean,
cool
I just
one.
run the show and I said Tucker, but
which one are you doing?
Ooh, I'm okay. I'm gonna do.
no, go ahead, Alex. You're good.
Feel unwelcomed. I'm gonna do the origin of jack-o'-lanterns, which is pretty interesting. I found this on a video about Irish folklore, specifically specific
Well, that's
folklore
where a lot
to
of
Ireland.
folklore comes from.
Yeah, and I didn't even know that. Like a lot of the big ones, but jack-o'-lanterns. The story comes from a man named Stingy Jack, who was a blacksmith in Ireland.
My boy Stingy Jack.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Penny pincher.
Use that penny pincher.
Stingy.
But
Wow.
That's where the name came from. That's it. That's the word.
Good job, Tucker.
I did it.
But in the supposed story or legend, Satan came to take him to hell, and somehow he tricked
As he
the.
does.
Yes, he do.
He's no.
Not the Grim Reaper. He doesn't send the
People
Grim
be
Reaper.
asking why life like that, but it do.
Satan came to take him to hell, but somehow Jack tricked the devil into transforming himself into a silver coin. Now, I don't know the specific details on how you convince Satan to turn into a coin, but he did. And then Jack put a cross on top of the coin and was like, haha, lol, you can't escape. And so it prevented the devil from turning back, transforming out or into anything except the coin.
They really thought out this story. Stingy
It
Jack.
says
Stingy Jack put a cross on top of a coin, and jack-o'-lanterns were.
No.
that's
period.
it. No, he just said he got the devil to do it. It's like devil turned into a coin. Say what? What? And he got him. That's how he got him. Then he put a little cross on it and said checkmate.
That's that good Irish gas.
But he basically had him in check, and then the devil made a deal with Jack. And Jack said, like, if I die, I won't be sent to hell. And the devil's like, all right, deal, just let me out of this coin. And so
I bet you
he
won't.
agrees. They shake, and then shortly afterwards, Jack dies.
And goes to
Goes
hell.
to
No, he goes
Plot
to
twist.
Made a deal with the devil.
he goes up to heaven,
Oh,
and
God is like, no, thank you.
yeah, God literally was like,
Heaven
"Sorry,
machine
bro.
broke."
heaven machine broke.
Yeah, the gates are broken. You gotta.
Heaven
Yeah.
machine
There's a
broke.
detour. The detour led him back to hell. So
like,
he
what the
went.
heck?
He went to the devil and was like, "Yo, I know we had an agreement, but I need to get in because they won't let me in heaven."
God's just like, if you go this way, there's a VIP section over here. He's like, all right. Just falls into a hole.
So when he goes to hell, he talks to the devil and basically, like I said, like he was rejected from heaven, and so Satan's like, "But we made a deal. I'm sorry, I can't break that. Get out of here." So now he's stuck on
In
Earth.
purgatory.
In limbo.
Oh.
He's like in limbo.
He's stuck on Earth, and I'm pretty sure like the jack-o'-lanterns are
So he still lives to this day.
supposedly.
Jack.
Wait, so he turned into a pumpkin?
Jack.
No, something about like his soul could be held in pumpkins or something like that, and that's why people put jack-o'-lanterns up every year. But that's not true.
What about them teenagers that make like
That's what I'm
jack-o'-lanterns
saying.
with like penis shapes?
Yeah.
He in
What's
that?
it?
Poor Jack.
He might.
Poor Jack. He's like,
my
"No,
soul is
this. My soul is inside this.
I don't like bashing dead people too much because I don't know, that shit might come back.
Yeah,
again.
man. Yeah. Too soon, Sahil.
Yeah. What the heck?
I'm like,
Too soon.
I'm gonna be posted up in hell and one of them's gonna nab me.
You're the one that made fun of Jack, didn't
And then
you?
he's just like,
Stingy Jack.
You
What'd
took
you
that
say?
VIP detour too?
Yup.
You know how it'd be.
I was like, I didn't know y'all could listen to my podcast down there.
Yeah, we listening.
Oh God.
You
All
got
right. Is that it?
Yeah.
Tuck?
Okay.
Go for it, Tuck.
Well, for my folklore, I wanted to do something like a little local that maybe some people didn't really know about. So I decided to talk about the curse of Lake Lanier. So the name of Lake Lanier
Great party
is
spot.
actually Lake Sidney Lanier, which I didn't know it was named after someone. But for those that don't know, it is located in the foothills of North Georgia. It's about like 26 miles, like in total.
Isn't that where they film Ozark? Is it in Lake Lanier?
I think so.
Something like
It's
that.
not Altoona. I think it's.
If you haven't watched Ozark, check that out.
Mhm.
Shit's good.
The lake itself is like 258 feet deep. I'm just kind of give some detail for those that maybe don't know Lake Lanier. I know we've been, before a couple times, but and it has over 1,114 kilometers or 692 miles of shoreline all around it.
Mm.
So, but it's man-made and largest lake in Georgia. I had no idea that
I didn't
it
know
was
it was man-made.
man-made, but it's
Oh,
a man-made.
wow. I
It's
think
a,
I did know that.
it's
My dad
a
might have told me.
it's a reservoir, not exactly like a lake. It's like a man-made reservoir thing. Traced back to 1948, purchased by the government as a way to create a water source for Georgia, which is a lot of stuff that's been in the news.
Shout out to the government, dude.
Shout out, they gave us Lake Lanier,
Shout
Thank
out.
you.
but
Shout out to Lake Lanier.
there's a lot of bad stuff with it. But I'll get into that.
Sorry.
But the water source though is actually used for Florida and Alabama too. It's where a lot of the states get their water as well from Lake Lanier. But the bad part of them making Lake Lanier was they moved, like when they had to move everybody out of the way so they could build this man-made lake, they moved 250 families, 15 businesses, and 20 cemeteries, including the bodies.
But they pay them, right?
When I was researching, I didn't
Shout
see
out
anything.
to Gravediggers.
Since it was 1948, they probably just said, "Hey, we're." They probably just said, "Hey, we're the government." Move. So they were like, and they just moved.
All right.
But yeah, 20 cemeteries and all the bodies in 20 cemeteries.
20?
Yeah,
How big is it? I get. What? How long? How big
26
did you say it
miles?
was?
the 26 miles is like how big it is, but you got like the total mileage of shoreline is like 692 miles of shoreline just going all the way around. So just thinking of a spot, like drawing a circle that's
26 square miles.
That's a
692
lot.
miles around. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of bodies to move. So that kind of leads into the mystery of Lake Lanier. So over the years, there have been an inordinate amount of deaths, which I don't know if you guys know much about it. Which it varies.
Deaths.
Deaths on the lake.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I actually almost died there because we were on a boat.
You would have been a statistic.
Yeah, I would have. I literally beat, like, I don't know. We were blessed to make it out of that boat that day because some like drunk boat driver was coming straight at us. And I was
And
like,
man, and then you wouldn't have found that $6 coupon, and we would have never had this podcast.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
I don't know.
So like the varying like causes of all the different deaths are like boat crashes, like you said. There's drownings, and there's also been some cars like crashing into the lakes
Yeah.
too, like people like losing control and then
Mhm.
just slamming into
Just
the water.
yeet-
Okay.
And they can't get out. I guess because like the pressure and they can't.
Yeah.
Be
I
able to
always
break
think
it,
of
so-
Michael from The Office when I think of something like
Oh,
that.
where he just drives straight into the lake when they're anyway.
The
Poor
GPS says
Michael.
so.
Poor Michael.
I have to go this way. Anyway.
But like many of or various cases of boat hittings like objects, but then like when they go back to see like, oh, what did we hit? There's like nothing there.
Mm.
Which is another thing is the mystery of Lake
Yeah.
Lanier.
Yeah.
Many drowning cases were also odd because a lot of them had killed like real strong swimmers in calm areas, but they just drowned. They don't
Huh.
really know like why. Like these are like strong swimmers. How do they get caught in such calm waters and drown?
Cramps.
That created the rumor that somehow Lake Lanier is cursed. Which I mean, I kind of say duh because I mean they moved 20 cemeteries.
Yeah.
With all the bodies.
They what?
They moved 20 cemeteries.
Them boys just posted up underwater like, dang, this is nice.
Catching bodies.
You know what I'm saying? They
I
no
caught 3
like the
Hispanic cakes
the
today.
spirits of like they just moved like 20 of them. They just moved 20 whole cemeteries.
Yeah.
But so
It's not racist.
Who did you envision in your head saying that? All right, that's why you got the ray gun.
hold it high. Okay, now look into the deaths. So at least 160 people have died on Lake Lanier since 1994. I got that from the AJC.
160?
160 plus, and the details that I got from the total amount of deaths was from 2014. And I know, like since then, I've seen some people, like some stuff on the news where people have died. 160 plus in like 24 years.
That place needs to
Just
be shut down.
just on the lake itself.
I
So,
won't be messing with that at all.
Well, we had
but,
fun.
yeah, I was gonna say we didn't
enjoyed
die.
it.
We
I
had a
did.
good time.
Yes.
But many of the cases talked about, like many of them are talked about. One's like I think it's not Kevin Nash because that's a wrestler. It's like I think it's like Charlie Nash or something. It was a doctor or something that lived in off the like one of the like
He
houses off
passed
of.
away. He died there?
This is the detail of the case is they don't know like what exactly happened, but he just woke up one morning. He lived off of Lake Lanier, felt bad and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to the doctor in the morning." To his wife is what he said, and then she woke up and he was just gone. All of his keys, money, everything is there, missing for a month. Later, they found his decomposing body in the water with just a single gunshot wound to his head.
Whoa.
Oh.
And they were like, "Oh,"
Uh-oh.
and they found him.
Mm.
But yeah, and so they still can't figure like any details of it, like if it was suicide, if it
was
was,
Kevin
he was
Nash.
killed,
Oh.
not Kevin
God.
Nash.
That surprises me because
Razor Ramon's
there's-
just like,
Hey yo,
no, all right. I don't want to joke about this
it's
guy.
a ghost of. hey yo, he's here. But another one too, like a high-profile case, I guess you could say, is Usher's stepson actually got killed on Lake
Oh
Lanier.
yeah, I heard about
Oh,
In
that.
yeah.
2011, he was
Mhm.
tubing on the back of one of their boat. I don't think Usher was actually there, but he got hit by someone on a jet ski. Just hit him right off the tube and
Ooh,
killed him.
like-
That's so unfortunate.
He was like 5 or 6 years old.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
that's even-
That's
It was the jet ski the jet ski like
Hit him while he was on the inner
straight
tube, like
on?
getting pulled from behind.
Oh.
Yeah, so he just
Oh,
like went
man.
like doop, and hit him whenever he was like getting pulled on the back.
Because those go like real fast. Like the impact must have been so hard. I
Yeah.
feel-
But yeah, so I mean, like there's other cases too, but you can look them up. Like just literally just type in Lake Lanier deaths, and there's like tons of different cases. of all the
Do you
people
get
that
like
died, but-
involuntary manslaughter? Like,
Yeah.
what's that charge?
I mean,
Probably
I think
involuntary,
he
man.
actually did get sentenced. I saw something about when I was researching
I mean,
it.
he-
But, I mean, he did it.
I mean, yeah.
They know he
you-
did. And they said,
yeah.
"Hey, you just hit him," and he was like, "Yeah, I did."
I
But
mean,
that's
I
such,
don't
like,
know.
I don't know.
I don't know, man. I just feel like he had to have had time to correct or
Yeah,
something.
I don't know.
I don't know.
mean, you've driven a boat before. You know what it's
Well, his was
like.
a jet
You can't
ski.
always.
His was a jet ski.
It's
I'm
a
saying
jet
he hit him
ski.
on a
Oh,
jet
sorry, I
ski.
totally thought it was a boat.
No.
No, he could have
No.
moved. He was on a jet ski, so I
Yeah,
don't
he
know
had
exactly
time.
what.
And if it was a boat, I mean,
But if the kid like if he fell off the tube and he was just in the water and sometimes it's hard to
yeah,
see.
you can't
Yeah.
see it sometimes. I can get
He
that.
was
but
on
if
the
he's
tube.
on the tube,
was on
jet
the
skis
tube.
also
Oh,
have
okay.
like a long stopping time rather.
I mean, you could turn.
Move out of the way.
yeah.
I don't know.
Dang.
I get
But-
what you're trying to do, and I understand that there's
Trying to
probably
defend the
there's
murderer.
probably no. I know that there's probably a reason why it happened. I just feel like it's kind of weird.
Yeah, so
Not to say that he did it
It is
deliberately.
sad though.
For that, like, all this information I got it from Brent Swanser of Mysterious Universe. It's just kind of like one of those like paranormal or like spooky stuff websites that you can look up. So
There's a
there's,
lot
like,
of them
tons
in
of other
Georgia,
ones.
especially obviously Savannah. with-
oh yeah,
and everything.
oh yeah,
A lot of
Savannah,
good ghost
definitely.
stories. We
But
should probably do some ghost stories this month
I have.
Okay.
I have a ghost
if
story.
y'all want to replace some news stories with some ghost stories.
Fine with
I'm
that.
down.
That's what's
Y'all
up.
want to do that? Okay. Anyway, we'll plan our show somewhere else. um,
What?
So,
Why not now?
let's
Oh, wait,
jump in.
We're live. I forgot.
let's jump into the creepypastas. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. We had a long week of research, and I didn't read this. So I'm going to just jump right in. This is a kind of a long one. But
You did not research your creepypasta?
No, sure
Wait,
didn't.
hold on. Can we take a moment to just ream out Brett?
dude, I read
Yeah, let's
half,
pound his ass.
I read half of it, and I was like, this is probably good enough. And then I just put it on my my notes. So
See, I was gonna do creepy. What's his name? Squidward Suicide, because I've always seen that one, but I didn't do it in case because I
Yeah.
thought someone might pick that. But so I picked out a creepypasta that I'm just gonna read.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, this one is called Hole.
Very interesting.
All right, so
Glory.
let's get into it. It was your typical college setting, a lecture hall with 50 students, maybe more. One moment, a guy in the front row was answering a question from the professor, and the next, a big black sphere was hanging in the air where his head used to be. Now that, hold on. Now that was anything but typical.
Wow. What a good line. That's a good line.
I was I was looking right at him when it happened, so I was among the first to see it. Others who hadn't been looking turned their heads.
turned.
Dude,
Sorry.
I'm so bad at reading. This might take longer. I might just be the only one reading this. Others who hadn't been looking, holy crap, dude, turned their heads to see why the guy had stopped in the middle of his sentence. Nervous chatter quickly filled the room. What is that? Do you think he's okay? Someone go get the boom.
I like that.
That
Yeah.
scared
The
me.
onomatopoeia.
That gave me a little spook. Not-
Nice.
I jumped.
English.
It was like static on a radio amplifier by 1,000. 100 hands clasped, 100 and 100 ears. Oh man, this is bad. I'm real bad at this.
How long is it?
It's at a 5-minute read, so this is gonna
20 minutes.
20 minutes in. 100 hands clasped 100 ears. The air around the sphere distorted for a second, returning to normal as the effect moved outward, passing through the rest of the room. My entire body shook and went cold as it hit me. The five closest to the sphere had been affected differently, more strongly, as mostly everyone else crowded the exit. They stood frozen in place, seemingly unable to move. One of them, a brown-haired guy with a red shirt, I don't know why you got to be so descriptive, began
That's how they
shaking
be.
wildly. His mouth opened like he was trying to scream, but what came out was a high-pitched whine, adjacent to a dentist's drill. He exploded. He exploded.
He bust.
Dude, is your soul in your body still? What?
Sorry, I'm just picturing the meme of Thanos getting stabbed through the heart and going,
Dude, that whole time your soul was leaving.
He
your
wanted to
body.
say that
I'm
so
trying
bad.
to read.
sorry.
He exploded. There was a wet squelch, like someone stepping in mud, and the guy was in 100 pieces. Droplets of his blood stayed suspended around the sphere, a crimson color mist. Before settling down to the floor, the rest of him was everywhere on the floor, on tables, on people's skin and clothing, all the way to the back of the room. One slimy chunk of skin hit me right in the face. Whoops. Oopsie.
That's that
Check,
money
please.
shot. You did.
I joined the others at the doors. Sorry. I just imagine a big, check, please. I joined the others at the door, but something was wrong. Someone was shouting that they were stuck. that they couldn't be opened. The doors. They didn't clarify it was the doors. They clarified
But
every other
they could
detail.
describe that dude.
That dude. That's impossible, I thought. There were 6 doors out of the room, 3 on this side and 3 on the other, and they couldn't all be locked. So I pushed my way through and gave all 3 of. Oh man, dude, this is tough, huh? Reading.
It's not. I don't think it's your reading. It's a lot of the way that these creepypastas are written.
Poorly written.
Yes,
Yeah.
It's by like a 4th grader.
I'm trying my best. Thanks,
Hey,
Alex.
More like an 8th grader.
Okay. Hey,
Or-
producers, can you shut up?
We're trying to have a show here, guys.
Okay.
Oh.
I pushed my way through and gave all 3 a try for myself, but they were right. None of them would budge. I rammed the closest one with my shoulder, but even with the terror-induced adrenaline, it wasn't enough. A handful of other students joined me, and we all threw our weight against the door at once. Before repeating the action several more times, the door shuddered, but wouldn't give way. A quick glance told me the same thing was being tried on the other side of the room. To no avail, I looked back at the group of 5 positioned around the sphere. Another had gone into convulsions like the man before, a woman this time.
I'm sorry.
Well, that ruined the show. I'm not like I'm already not having a hard time.
No, we know reading is hard.
You could have just edited this in post. God, this is
Do I need to bring this to the mic?
this podcast is a joke.
Go ahead.
I concentrated. Oh man. Oh wait, hold on. She spun so she was facing the door and opened her mouth, but no sound came out. A concentrated black beam of something did. This is so, oh man, a consecrated black beam. A concentrated, dude. Black beam of something did instead. Think of a cartoon robot firing a big fat laser out of its mouth, and you've got the idea. The woman turned her head, and the beam swung along the length of the far wall, passing through several people as it did. Squelch, squelch, squelch. They all exploded, one after another. Boom.
Onomatopoeia.
Louder now, loud enough to dawn. Dude.
Okay.
Okay, no, this person really can't write though. There's a lot of spelling errors.
So this is this is a lesson.
Yeah.
Read the creepypasta
Yep, for
before
sure.
the show.
I'm just saying there's a lot of spelling errors in this guy. Louder now, loud enough to drown out all the screams. My body rattled violently, knocking me off my balance. I stumbled and the cold hit me. Like being buried in ice, it lasted several seconds longer this time. A vision entered my mind of a black tower piercing a blood-red sky. The tower climbed higher, and I could see incomprehensibly high. It spoke to me, its voice directly inside my head. Freedom. At last. The vision faded. I was on the floor, as were a dozen others around me. I got up and looked at the sphere. It was larger now, almost twice the size it had been when it first appeared. Got a little drink swap.
Sorry, I'm thirsty.
When it first appeared. It wasn't just a sphere, though. I don't think it was a gateway, and that tower, whatever it was trying to get through. God.
How to break the tension.
One of the doors opened. All at once, students poured out of the room, myself among them. Police officers stood positioned at the sides, ready to move in when the way was clear. Thank God they made it, I thought. They'll take care of this. Whatever. No. They couldn't go in there. They couldn't. This wasn't a shooter or anything like that. Something they could fight. The only thing... What are you doing, dog? Oh, just hitting your vape. The only thing they or any of the rest of us could do was run. I grabbed the arm of an officer standing to my left. Don't go in there. You can't, I shouted. He took my hand and gently removed it, saying something I couldn't make out. What are you doing?
I'm just listening.
Okay. Before I could do anything else, the crowd picked me up and swept me away. Boom.
Boom.
The increased distance meant the impact was weaker. It felt more like the first time than the second. Some minor shaking and a sense of cold that went away quickly. I maintained my balance and kept running. Boom.
It's getting spooky now.
Not the hole that time. Gunshots. I didn't see how the officers could think shooting at it would do any good. Boom, boom, boom. Someone screamed, "They're shooting at us!" Dude, do you laugh any other way than like your soul leaving your body? bro?
It's the tea kettle. I'm sorry.
God. But that couldn't be. They were the police. They were there to the corner of my eye saw an officer. He stood outside but was facing in through the window, his shotgun aimed directly at the crowd. Boom. The window shattered. One person fell. Another stumbled. Blood trickled down the side of her leg. A guy, a hero, whose name I may never know, leaped through the obliterated window and rushed to the officers head on. He took a blast directly to the chest and went down, flat on his back. His sacrifice provided just enough opportunity for a small group to seize the officer and get him on the ground. The rest of us poured through the opening after them. Out of the building and into the university's plaza, sunlight never felt so good. Although 30 people died that day, most were students, but a handful of police officers were killed as well. Those that attacked us attacked their fellow officers as well and were killed in the ensuing shootout, meaning they can't answer questions about what happened to them. Was it the thing on the other side of the hole that caused them to act this way? Or something else? The doors were all locked. Someone wanted to keep us in that room. The building is sealed off now. I'm told the pulses have stopped and that the hole was stopped. The hole has stopped growing. Some people think that it means it's stable now, and I'm inclined to agree with them. I don't agree that it's a good thing. Out of all the people that survived the incident, 10 of them have already committed suicide. The thing on the other side of the hole must have caused that. And if it still has that kind of influence, I can make only one conclusion. The hole hasn't stabilized because it failed to get through. It's because it already did.
Bum, bum, bum.
Wow, the person who wrote that needs like a Nobel Peace Prize for literature. 'Cause
This is a tasty burger.
Jesse told me to play this. I don't
What?
know why.
That took way too long to get. I was waiting for him to go. To
That was actually a really good one.
Shout out to Riley Odell at creepypasta.com/hole.
I like that. That was actually kind of spooky. Be a good little short film.
Okay.
oh,
Can I just say a disclaimer?
When you choose creepypastas, make them not as long.
Yeah, you know, read him good.
Yeah. Read them good.
Here's
Read him good.
I appreciate you, Brett.
No, I liked it. I
I'm
liked the
gonna
story.
do another creepypasta, and I'm still not gonna read it, and I'm still gonna read it just like I read it just now. Because there you go. That's what I want to do. That's my thing.
I appreciate you.
Brett
No,
just
I
cut
liked
his
it.
hair. If you can't notice, he looked like what chia pets look like 2 days after you water them.
Look, if you're a fan of the podcast, then you'll go see my short film 51, which is why I cut my hair and shaved my face.
Yes.
Amen.
Kudos to our friend.
And if you don't see it, then you're dead to me.
our friend John
Word.
Martin putting on a thesis for it with Brett
He
as
has
the
a
lead
thesis.
role. That's very
Yep.
dope.
Yep, I'm the lead.
I'm excited to watch it. How,
That's crazy.
This is what I'll note about creepypastas. Sorry. Is anyone else going next, or can I?
You can go.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
It's all you.
All right. I want to note this about creepypastas. Doing this segment and trying to research and find creepypastas that I actually thought were interesting was excruciating to me. Please don't flip me off again.
No,
They're
it was
so
Kyle.
long.
No. Yes, because I'll look up like
That was the shortest one I could find.
I know. I understand
I
that.
know.
No, I understand that because I look on YouTube. Shout out Ryan Chills and Mr. Creeps. I hate you guys, but it's just there's YouTube channels directly. Their sole purpose is just people reading creepypastas, and then we saw the creepy Burger King foot lettuce. Just weird stuff like that.
also,
but-
if you listen to last podcast on the left, Who is Phone?
Who is phone?
Who is Phone is probably the best creepypasta of all time.
True.
True.
But that's the majority of creepypastas, I
I
feel
know.
like, when you look them up. So, just mine was already spoiled via Sahil.
Thank you.
The
Uh-oh.
Squidward's suicide.
You actually did that.
Nice.
I
I watched
actually
like a
did it.
7-minute video before I was like, nah, screw it. This is not it.
Man, dude, I'm reading books. My man can't even get through a 7-minute video.
These are hard.
It wasn't as like it didn't have the story that I thought it would.
When I'm listening to creepy pastas on YouTube, I'm just like spacing out. I'm like, wait, what happened?
Yeah, you got to listen to it
because
for sure.
I
be
try
willing to.
hard, but the people that read them are just not entertaining.
Oh, like what I just did?
I liked it.
Oh,
I liked
That,
yours.
that was better than the majority of the stuff on YouTube.
Even
because
with the mess ups, it's still
and
good.
our buddy Kyle had his head in his shirt, trying not to laugh too loud.
But instead of reading the whole Squidward creepypasta, because I'm pretty sure it is long.
It's so long.
Yeah, by the way, we have 15 minutes.
Okay, I'm just gonna blaze through mine because it's only 5 minutes. Anyways, I'm not gonna read the creepypasta. Oh my god.
All right, hustle.
Okay.
We got this.
Okay, so the story of Squidward's suicide is being told by an intern who had seen a rough cut of the planned last episode of SpongeBob. Has not aired, to our knowledge. There's no proof. And in the episode, Squidward has a clarinet concert. I used to play the clarinet in 6th grade. He
Really blazing through this one.
that was in my notes. So
You had to remind yourself.
yes, I have.
All right,
reminders.
come on.
Okay, he is so bad, everyone boos him off the stage of this concert. He goes home, and then the shots switch between Squidward crying, screaming, and photos of dead children.
Ooh.
Until he puts a gun in his mouth and blows his brains out. Nice. And then cuts to black and says, "Thank you for X amount of years on the show, or on the air."
And also the dead children thing. It was obvious that like whoever captured that like image
Yeah.
was the one who murdered the child.
Right.
So it wasn't like a crime scene. It was like this guy did it.
Like a Polaroid kind of style
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Nice.
The music really ties all that together nicely.
I think so too.
So
Makes
someone
it-
edited the dead child in, and
Do we want to keep the music playing through the whole thing?
Yeah, can you do the next one?
Okay, we'll wait till we read our next one. Do you have anything to say?
no, and then the editors, what they do, they cut it. I mean, it's never gonna see the light of day, even if it's real. And then something about the creator, the Hillenberg, came in and said to cut it out. And
Of course, there are
Yeah.
photos of dead children.
They're like, wait, how'd that get? You know what? Don't put that up.
because they thought it was a practical joke.
That's
Oh,
not
you
a
guys!
A joke? Who put dead babies on here?
No.
You pranksters.
It's
Wait,
just
Billy?
a prank. It's just a prank, bro.
Oh, can't
Anyway,
get mad.
So was we good with
Get
that?
locked.
Yeah, I'm done.
All right. I'll read my creepypasta. It's called
Hold it for a second.
Instant Messaging. It all started on the 14th night of March.
Hold on, wait for. There we go.
The night of my parents' 20th wedding anniversary. It was a wonderful sunny day, if memory serves. Surprisingly warm. Of course, this was a formal occasion, so I had my best suit on. It was 5:33, and I was just straightening my tie when my phone went off. I got a message. That's strange, I thought. That never happens. I checked the message. It was my mum. It was quite a jumble of numbers and letters, but through the vocabulary stew, I could make out the legible phrase, "Please help me." Then I got a text.
Stew?
in the yo.
In the
Yeah.
yo.
Sounds familiar. I think I read this or heard this somewhere.
Yeah, you probably
think
have.
They
It's a
did this
famous
on
one.
last podcast.
Yeah, this is a famous one. It should go without saying that this worried me. So I replied, "Are you okay?" And then I got another text.
Is this the sigh of relief one from last podcast? The I sighed with all the relief in my body.
Stop, please.
Go
Just let
ahead.
me
Just
continue.
read it. Just read it. I think that's the one it is, though.
Just as instantly, I got another text. Oops, pocket text. I sighed with all the relief I had and continued to prepare myself.
In the words of Henry Zabrowski. All the relief. Anyway, go ahead.
A few minutes later, I received yet another text from my dad. I checked the text. Once again, it was a massive mixture of letters and numbers with the phrase, "Please help me," concealed within. Creepy. There's so many punctuation errors. Jesus. Creepy though this was, my dad was always a joker. It's like they haven't taken English class. Ugh. until I was another
you.
text saying, "Oops, pocket text."
Oops, did a goof.
Yeah.
You don't have to help me anymore.
Pure, unmistakable panic. Exactly half a minute passed when I received the exact same message from my sister. This couldn't be coincidental. It just couldn't. In a sheer state of anxiety, I started to run to the restaurant. I made it about a quarter of the way before I was stopped by a police officer. Main road closed. Huge car crash.
Road machine, bro.
Road machine broke. I demanded to see the wreckage, a request I'm surprised was allowed. When I got there, it wasn't the remnants of the car that caught my eye, not the flames billowing from the destroyed vehicle. So you can say billowing, but you don't know where to put a comma? Crazy. No, I was horrified to see the lifeless corpses of my mother, father, and sister. I asked for the estimated time of death. All three of them were killed instantly by the collision at 5:32, a minute before he got the texts.
Big old goof.
On God.
Oops, pocket text.
So I guess that's kind of creepy.
The music went perfect.
Yeah, I was going to say
It like
it
really
dropped.
started to pick up. Like, right.
Kyle Flora texted me, grammar machine broke.
Grammar machine, bro.
That was, yeah, that was just now.
Appreciate you.
I mean,
Kyle
you'd think
Flora.
someone would like proofread it for them.
They would proofread themselves. You'd be like,
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, but like, okay, you're gonna put something on Reddit. Like, if you're gonna put something this long, at least like look through it.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing.
I mean, it literally said consecrated on my on mine.
It
So
was supposed to say concentrated, but it
Yeah.
said consecrated.
yeah, that's why I stumbled on that one for a little while.
Ooh, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Whoa,
whoa, whoa,
whoa, whoa!
Wow.
I will say
Anyway,
a
we
lot.
gotta hurry up.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm
No,
not cutting
finish
you
your
off.
thought.
Oh, I was just gonna say a lot of them are poorly written, but people use not dictionary.com, but synonyms.com or whatever like that.
Yeah, to make themselves sound a little more sophisticated.
Smart, but then they put 3 periods at the end of every sentence.
Yeah.
Or like a comma between letters. Go ahead.
Between. It's like can. It's like CA, comma, N.
If you know me, I'd be
Everything
putting
has a
3
hyphen.
commas everywhere.
Disenfranchised.
I am an intellect.
Yeah.
Into comma lect.
Go ahead.
Intellect. Okay. So I did the creepypasta called Cul-de-sac.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, who's got the song?
I got it.
Bless you.
That's you.
And Dead Space, huh?
It's cool. We don't have a soundboard yet, so
Yeah.
sorry.
We hadn't always been here, but the neighborhood has. Even before it was a neighborhood on Earth, this one had been here.
Okay.
Here for those that would be lost on those cursed grounds. Here for those who would die long before their real life ever truly began. Here for those who never really wanted to grow up.
Why are you reading it like you're?
I'm trying to be spooky.
It sounds like an intro.
It sounds like he's preaching. Go
In
ahead.
a world. We'd come from different times and we'd come from different lives, but one thing remains true of all of us. We lived on the earthly realm of the neighborhood at some point in our lives and died long before our time was supposed to come. We don't remember much of our lives in the cul-de-sac since the last member of our group joined us, and certainly we won't remember now when the next spirit comes. But here's what we do know. Rolf was born, but Rolf was the first to come here.
Son of a.
Unlike
It's a head and Eddie.
Unlike most of us, he was born in far-off lands and even in the afterlife hasn't lost the touch of his old world upbringing. He lived in the neighborhood before it was developed. The son of a shepherd, he and the rest of his family came to start a farm on the lands that would soon turn into the place we would all eventually reside in. He died in 1903. While tending to the family's animals, the bull broke loose from its pen and, in Rolf's efforts to stop the beast, he was trampled to death.
Rip.
That is why, even though he brought many of his family's livestock with him in spirit, he chose not to bring the cattle along. He continues to go about the farm's business on a daily basis, but is more than happy to occasionally neglect them to play with the other neighborhood children. Johnny was always the lonely child. In fact, Rolf actually became his first human friend ever when he came to the cul-de-sac after his death.
His first human friend?
Remember, he got Plank.
Got you. True. I forgot who Johnny was.
He's the bald.
Yes, obviously with Plank.
Very
Yeah.
bald.
Yeah.
His parents moved onto the grounds of Rolf's former farm not long after his death. With no other children around and no field work to take up his time as it did Rolf's, Johnny drew into his own mind to a great extent. From the Plank was born. Together, they wandered about the countryside, climbing trees and getting themselves in trouble. Sadly, this didn't last forever, as a few years later, Johnny became bedridden with illness. In 1922, he died after a long battle with tuberculosis. He saw his imaginary friend playing, standing by him to his last breath. Even now in the afterlife, without the countryside to play in, Johnny still wastes much of his time frolicking through the backyards and streets. Eddie was the next to come. Eddie was born in New York City, but moved to the neighborhood in 1932, just as the Great Depression was hitting full swing.
Dear God.
The neighborhood, while still different, was beginning to take form from the fields of its past as families moved in and split up the lands that had once belonged to Rolf's family. Always a schemer, Eddie looked to do anything to bring some comfort to his bare family life, even if it cost him the friendship of others. Eddie died in 1939 after one of his grand plans to swindle a sap backfired. He drowned trying to cross a local river after trying to run away from the angry kids that he had tried to deceive. Even in the afterlife, he keeps chasing after the almighty dollar. This music is...
This is perfect.
Sarah and Ed came together not too long after that. By the late 40s, the cul-de-sac had already nearly taken its form as one of the pre-planned developments that became popular in the post-war era.
Popular.
Chill.
As brothers and sisters growing up in the chaos of World War II, they both had various ways of escaping their lives as children of a dead GI and a working mother. Sarah became enraged and controlling as she sought to make sure that everyone around her knew that she was in charge, all in an attempt to copy off her view of the hustle and bustle of her often working mother. Ed, on the other hand, went about it in a different way. He just shut it out entirely. In fact, he shut out nearly everyone and everything in the world entirely, becoming what appeared to be a complete idiot. Thank you. That's really nice of him to say that. Ed chose to instead become completely involved in the monster movies and comic books that began to pop up after the war had ended. It wasn't too long after this that, in 1953, Ed and Sarah died in a car wreck as their mother was taking them to visit their grandparents. Naz came a time after the brother and sister. Naz was a flower child born into the hippie-turned establishment in the late 60s. She was a naturally beautiful girl that had always had a way with boys and men alike. She lived life on a whim and would often go out about flirting and playing with other without any intentions.
So she was a
Whoa.
She's a child.
It'd be
She
like
died
that.
possibly the most horrible way of any children in the neighborhood. In the summer of '79, a serial killer who had broken out of an asylum had slipped in her house in the dead of the night and raped and killed her along with her entire family. You have anything to say now?
Just eat your
What is
foot.
she now?
Dude, all I can say is whoever wrote this is a goddamn weirdo. These are children.
In the trauma of these events, she, in a way similar to Ed, shut out the world entirely and forgot of her parents and siblings, which is why in the afterlife she doesn't ever receive demands from the non-existent parents, unlike many of the others. This gives her much more time to lounge around and party, as she often does. It didn't take too long before Double D joined the rest of the neighborhood. He was a child of two highly controlling professionals in the age of greed that, despite their constant absence, dominated his life. As such, Double D became quite the intellectual and a rather meek and shy figure. Always the curious type, he loved to experiment when given the time away from school and constant chores of his parents. This would lead to his untimely demise in 1986. As a gas leak combined with a Bunsen burner from one of his experiments tore him and his house to pieces. Being the timid and subservient type between various misadventures, Double D continued to follow the written orders of his parents long after his death, which that explains all the notes that are always left in the house.
That is scary.
Which is kind of freaky to think about. But Kevin was the next to join the group. He was born to the day the red hat, yeah. Born to the day of Double D's death and is, in many ways, his polar opposite. Kevin came from a broken home and developed a bold personality. In life, he was cynical and angry and took it out on many of the other children. His abusive father would rarely pay attention to him in life and would end up bringing about the end of it. In a drunken rage, his father beat him after Kevin attempted to stand up to him.
This music is on point, dude.
He died on the way to the hospital in the winter of 1999. His father spent the rest of his life in prison. In the afterlife, Kevin changed his perception to the opposite of what his life really was, with a distant father who would shower him with gifts. However, he continued to maintain his bullying, even in death. Jimmy was the last to come to the cul-de-sac. He died in 2000, not long after moving into the house that Kevin's father had once lived in. He had had leukemia since he was barely old enough to walk. As such,
Dude,
That's why he falls, right? No. Okay.
is that
that's
the,
John. This is
Jimmy's the one
Jimmy.
with the headpiece?
Jimmy's got
Yeah.
like the braces.
Oh.
As such, he was always a very sickly child, and due to his overprotective parents, he never really got to be around other children. He lived his days out in a small bedroom, completely neglected by the outside world. Jimmy lingered for quite some time in a state of near death, but in the end, family caved into suffering of his lifelong illness. The Kanker sisters were different from any other denizens of the cul-de-sac.
These are the three that were in love with Ed, Ed.
The Ed boys. They were never of the earthly plane of existence. Instead, they are the children of demons, not too dissimilar from the succubae of human lore. They seem to possess abilities impossible by the standards of others, such as the ability to appear nearly anywhere instantly.
Very true.
They were sent from hell to torment the already tortured souls of the neighborhood. Surprisingly, they are attached to the Eds for unknown reason, although it is speculated that they are the weakest-willed members of the neighborhood and are seen as easy targets by them. Despite that, they are universally loathed and often feared by everyone, including the Eds.
They're like the sires.
Oh, I thought the song
Alright.
ended right there.
Cold sack.
There we go.
That shit was banging, I guess.
That was on point, dude.
Ed and Eddie Creepypasta.
All right, well, we gotta end the show. So
Do we have to?
I want to say special thanks to Kyle Khan at Kyle Khan Studios for the space to do this podcast, and also a big thanks to All the Rest at All the Rest Music for our jingle. All right, love you guys. That's it. Goodbye.